there, all you singles out there. Today is a great day, except for I have one complaint. This getting dark early thing is totally not my gig. It makes me feel like I want to go to sleep at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what you should do or how long you should wait for a date to meet your needs. So I've had women write me and ask me, how long should I wait for a guy to open the door for me? How long should I wait for him to pray over a meal with me? Like, how long should I wait for these things before I just decide he's not going to do it anymore and just say, forget it, it's not going to work out? So maybe you want a man to, call you on the regular and make sure that he's being intentional about his pursuit of you. Maybe you want him to hold you when you're upset. Maybe you want him to do something else that's really important to you in the relationship. So before I answer this question, like how long should you wait, what I want to do is acknowledge that by the time you get to be 30, 40, 50, 60, right, you've lived a lot of life, and there's been some things that have happened in your relationships, and maybe you've gotten hurt, right, and you've gotten burned. And sometimes you feel overlooked, and sometimes you feel like there's never going to be a man who's going to want to give you what you want. And this could apply for men as well in their relationships with women. So what we do then when we've been hurt is we start assuming that nobody's ever going to want to meet those needs. And this can be especially true if you grew up in a situation in which your needs were denied, right, in which you didn't get what you wanted. Maybe you often felt overlooked by a primary caregiver like your dad. And so you never really learned to ask for what you want. And so you always feel like you're never going to get what you want. So there's a problem. If we start assuming that the answer is always going to be no, then we're never going to learn how to ask for what we want. And so therefore, one of the primary things that you need in relationship will never be met, which is to learn how to negotiate. Because relationships all have negotiations in them, right? No relationship comes perfect out of the box. You've heard me say that relationships are like Legos. They don't come assembled out of the box. You have to put them together. There's a study out there, and don't quote me on where it's from because I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it was from a university, and what they did was they studied a bunch of couples, and what they did was they put them in love labs. I think this was what they called a love lab. I believe this was on the campus of Washington State University, if I remember correctly. So they put them in a love lab, which was a place where they stayed together for a while, and then there were people from the outside that observed their behavior. And what they found is that you could tell the relationships that were happy or going to be happy in the long run by the bids that existed between them. What I mean is a bid was when one person, say the man, would look out the window and say, hey, there's a beautiful blue bird out here. And the woman would say, where? I want to see. And she would acknowledge that bid for attention to look at the bird, and she would come over to the window. A bid could also be something like, hey, I want you, or I really would love it if you would open the door for me when I get out of the car, or I really appreciate it when you walk on the outside by the traffic for me, or I love it when you ask me how my day was, right? And I just makes me feel so safe. Would you keep doing that for me? So these bids are when we ask for something. So if we don't ever ask for what we need, we won't ever find out if that other person's going to give us what we want. So what we're looking for at the beginning of the relationship isn't someone who does everything that we want. It's not someone who just can read our mind and knows everything that we need. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is someone who has the want to. Someone who has the want to please you, the want to give you what you need, right? And we should be that same way for the other person. And so the answer to the question, how long should I wait for my date or a man to meet my needs? It's not a particular time frame. What it is have you asked in a way that's gracious and that's kind if it's really important to you? And how did that person respond? Because how they responded is going to say a whole lot about how they're going to be able to have a relationship, right, with you or with anyone. Because, like I said, there's always things that come up in a relationship that we need to talk about, that we need to ask for. And if we don't learn how to ask for what we want, we are not going to get what we want. Because what's important to you might not be important to the person that you are dating or the person that you're with. Mainly because of the sexes, that can be one main thing, but it can also be just we just don't value the same things. Now, if the other person doesn't give you what you need when you ask, or they shame you or put you down or tell you you're being stupid, this is a red flag. But if the person is like, you know what, hey, I would absolutely love to walk on the outside near the traffic for you, or sure, I'd be happy to do that for you. It doesn't even have to be anything that gushy. It can just be, absolutely, I would be happy to unload the dishwasher with you, or whatever it is, right? And so what we're looking for is the response when we ask for what we need, and somebody who has the want to. So I encourage you, if you've dated a lot, one of the things I used to do was I would just assume that if a relationship wasn't exactly what I needed it to be, that it wasn't right for me. And that's not a good place to come from, because that means we could really be missing out on some really good people who could be matches for us and who could have a really good heart for us. I talked to a man some time ago, and he'd been seeing this woman he was super excited about, and he really liked her, and he was really interested in having an ongoing committed relationship with her. But partway through their dating process, or I guess towards the end, she just like dropped him out of the blue, and he didn't know why. And she said it was because he didn't meet her needs. Well, you know, if she had asked and asked and asked and he was ignoring her, that'd be one thing. But he's like, I had no clue. So here she was holding him to a behavior that he didn't really even understand that she needed from him. So we want to be careful as women not to become cynical and just think, well, you know, if he didn't meet my needs now, then he's not going to meet my needs. Because it may just be that he just doesn't know. He just doesn't understand what you need. And lots of times men and women are so different. My husband and I were just having this conversation a while ago because we were talking about what I need when I'm upset. And he said, I'm just not sure how to do that. And the reason why is because he didn't learn how to do that, because he's a guy, and because maybe his family is different, and maybe he's different than me. And there's nothing wrong with that. These places where we have differences, where we don't exactly know how to give what the other person needs, is a place where we can have greater intimacy that develops between us. So do yourself a favor, like just don't assume that just because someone didn't automatically do something for you that they don't care about it and that they're never going to do it, right? Or even that they don't have the same values as you. Maybe they just didn't learn. All right, I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time. Oh, and I want to tell you about something new that I have. If you haven't heard about it yet, it's called More Than Matching, and it's a comprehensive program to help you meet your special person. So if you're interested in a committed relationship, head on over to morethanmatching.com. There's some cool features to this program. It's not just matchmaking. It's also about coaching and group events and one-on-one time with a special coach. And if you sign up right now for it, then I would be your matchmaker and your coach. All right, so head on over to morethanmatching.com. See you there. Bye-bye.